Hello, hello, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Empowered Conversations. I'm so excited to bring on my first guest. We met last year during a 5-day Take the Stage live challenge, and she is so wonderfully fabulous. Her name is Amy Charland, and Amy helps high achieving, creative individuals escape soul crushing work that destroys their energy, damages their health, and keeps them teetering on the edge of financial disaster. By working with Amy, her clients stop feeling trapped by their need for a paycheck and start enjoying the freedom that comes from doing work that lights up their life and their bank account. As the founder of Lights On Again Coaching, Amy brings over 15 years of professional coaching experience into the corporate world. Oh, I'm sorry. She brings 15 years of experience coaching in the corporate world. She has spent years studying how to harness the power of habits to help people achieve the success that they crave. As a result, her clients make the money they want and need doing what they love faster than they believe possible. All right, guys, help me in welcoming, drum roll please, Amy Charland. Hey, Amy!
Oh, thank you so much for that fabulous introduction. I
Well,
love
thank
it.
you for being so fabulous.
Oh, thank
Yeah, so you are in Rochester, not New York,
you.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yes. Yeah. And we were just talking about that. And is that where you grew up? I mean, where are you? Have you always lived there?
Interesting question. Well, my parents grew up in Wisconsin, Minnesota, but you know where they met? Los Angeles.
Oh,
My
wow.
dad
Okay.
was working for the Air Force, my mom for the Navy. So I was born and raised in Cerritos, California, so a little suburb of Los Angeles for the first 10 years of my life. And then when I was 10, brought to Minnesota. I can tell you, whew, that was a big change of scenery.
Oh, I can imagine. My family moved when I was 10 from one place to another. We actually wound up moving a couple other places with my dad's job. But yeah, so you've lived in two places your entire life.
Well, I actually, when I went to school in
Hmm.
Wisconsin,
Hmm.
then I worked in Minnesota, then I
Okay.
went to school in Arkansas.
Oh, okay. So you have traveled.
Arkansas,
Yeah.
yes, and then I worked in Monticello, Arkansas for a little bit, and then I worked in Kearney, Nebraska, and then I worked in Michigan. So I've been a little all over for job related reasons.
Right.
Yeah, but
So,
growing up, yeah, more Minnesota, LA.
well, that is the perfect transition into my very first question is it sounds like job related. You have, all the places that you lived were for jobs.
Mhm.
And what, so in your adult life, where did you start with these types of jobs? What types of jobs were they? And then what led to this, I guess, for lack of a better word, I like to call them epiphanies that then led you to where you are today and what you do for others?
Absolutely. Well, I'll start with my undergraduate degree, which was in art therapy. And
Okay.
at that point, I'm going to share this with the audience. At that point, I didn't think I was smart enough to go after my master's degree. How often do we do that as women to ourselves?
Mhm.
And so I thought, well, I can't go after the master's degree. So I really wasn't qualified to do art therapy. So I ended up working in group homes with those with mental illness. And I worked as uh, a job coach with those with disabilities, and I did that, and that
Mhm.
just wasn't, it was fulfilling for a little bit of time but not fulfilling. And I knew that I wasn't fulfilling my potential, so I did
Right.
finally decide, hey, I am smart enough, and if I'm not smart enough, they'll kick me out of school. So I went back for my master's degree because I really wanted to help other people figure out what they want to do for a career, because I was
Right.
so lost. You know how we do that, how we go
Absolutely.
different jobs or
Oh, yeah.
businesses because we're trying to figure out our own stuff.
Hmm.
So then I got my master's degree. That was down in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And go Razorbacks if anyone
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Go Razorbacks.
Yes, yes. And and then I went off and I worked in different colleges and universities. And so I worked my way up the ladder because that's what we're told to do. So it's following this very
Right.
traditional path. You get the education, you get the job, based
Hmm.
on your education, you work your way up the ladder. And that's where I did a lot of traveling because I was going to different colleges and universities. Um, and then I ended up in Michigan, and I'll never forget the day. And I'm sure everyone who was of maybe 2 or older remembers 9/11.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
yes.
And I'll never forget that moment when I learned about 9/11 and I was on the job and my administrative assistant, because at this point it worked my way up to director of career development. And I'll never forget
Director of, I'm sorry,
career,
director.
career development.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And I'll just never forget that she had a radio at her desk, at the days when we had radios. I don't know if we really have radios other than our cars these days, and she was listening to the radio and she runs into my office and she goes, I think something's happening. And it was when the first airplane hit the tower. And then I was there in that moment when that second plane hit the tower. And I remember that we looked at each other and going, this is not an accident. And that was the beginning of me shifting to something very different. But it took me many years because I was so stuck in this traditional career trajectory. But
Hmm.
a year later, I thought I had the safest job around. I mean, hey, I'm helping other people figure out what they want to do for jobs
Hmm.
and helping others write resumes. And I thought
Hmm.
higher education, the safest job that you could have. But a year later, because of the economy, I was let go.
Gotcha.
And it was, I can't even, I mean, anyone out there listening who has been through that, sometimes ahead of time. I had no idea, really no idea. And it threw me for a loop. And I started to search for other jobs like that one. But at that point, I realized I'm really burnt out
Hmm.
and I don't want to do this anymore. And so Google was new, and I went out and started doing the Google
Yeah.
and found this thing called coaching. And I just fell in love right away.
Hmm.
And then things started to shift
Right.
as I moving from career development into personal development. And I'll tell you, coming from a very academic background, that I had seen personal development as woo woo, as no, if you can't track it, if it's not something you can put in a spreadsheet, well,
Hmm.
then it's not helpful. It's not something that's going to help you be successful. You need to follow that traditional path and you need to
Yes. Yeah.
follow
Right.
that career ladder. And
Hmm.
so coaching opened up this whole new world for me. And I realized the power of personal development and how much I had fallen into a job trap, and just kind of going through the motions because I hadn't focused on that personal development.
Would you agree that personal development, cultivating that sense of self-awareness, is the key to living a more fulfilling life?
I'm going to say this absolutely, but it's really sad that we for me, this was I think in my late 30s, I
Hmm.
figured this out. And so much wasted time because it's not taught in schools.
Right.
The things that help us to be successful in life are not taught in school. And here I am now working on my doctorate of
Hmm.
educational leadership, and I want to blow up the whole system. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Let's just say change it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shift
shift,
the
yes.
paradigm.
Shift
Right.
the paradigm, but
Hmm.
yes, not blow it up. But let's shift it because it's not working. It's not working for most Americans. It's not working for many countries. There are some countries who are doing fabulous work, really educating people to live beautiful, healthy, vibrant lives, and we
Hmm.
just haven't figured it out here
Right.
in America. And it really saddens me being a product of public education.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so here I am working on my doctorate of something that I just want to see change.
I could not agree with you 1,000 billion trillion zillion% more. I have been saying, golly, I would say since the early 2000s, when it was when I was trying to get into pharmaceutical sales, and I won't, go into the details of that story, but I remember something clicked, something went ding, 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 and because of just some things that I was experiencing, and it hit me. I'm like, you know what? The There needs to be a curriculum in every single school system around the entire planet that is taught alongside the math and the social studies and the science and the PE and the lunch nap time, whatever. But that's 1 hour a day, every single day, that focuses on the personal development, self-awareness, real life skills, like, that has to do with the concept of money, and of how, what, like, not necessarily just around money, but I know some people like balancing a checkbook, for instance, balancing your bank account, knowing, but that also focuses on just cultivating, like what lights you up, what
Mhm.
what your passions are, but also because there are people that grow up or experience like unfathomable
Mhm.
living circumstances. And
Yes.
can you imagine, if every single child, you know, came to school, and for that hour a day, regardless of what they grow up or see at home, how horrible it could possibly be,
Mhm.
that they are taught their self-worth, their self-value, and they can do anything they want. They can be anything. They can have anything. Just focusing on their heart's desires, but not just heart's desires. I'm having a trouble getting my words out today. It's who knows why, but just again, cultivating that sense of self, that strong sense of self. Can you imagine how many children? There'd be a lot less bullying.
Mhm.
There'd be a lot less teasing and picking on others, and subjecting others to the pain that you feel within yourself. There'd be a lot more children growing into like mindful,
Mhm.
purposeful, self-aware, real, self-love, and a lot less mistreatment of others, and victim mentality, I guess is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. Sorry,
Oh,
I took,
absolutely. No, no, I totally agree. And I strongly believe that our school systems, and yes, there's some that are doing fabulous
oh yeah.
work, but in general, it really sets up for the status quo, for the patriarchy to really continue to reinforce what's always been in place. And I think our school systems really focus on more division, even though there's some good programs, but more on division and filtering out, because that's what they're designed to do. They're filtered out. If you are a prodigy or gifted, well, then you get this special treatment. But if you are coming from a really difficult living situation
Mhm.
and you are in the poor section of a neighborhood, or you are of color, or you are different, then even the teachers fall into the status quo and you get into this box. And it is so, and I am in awe in awe of people who are able to break out of that box. I
Oh,
love to study
absolutely.
them because their story is a story of resilience and a story
Yes.
of finding themselves and a story of, I think, heroism and courage and tenacity. And those are the people I love to study that started in those situations, everything against them, but somehow
Mhm.
made it out. I just think those are the most fascinating stories.
I understand when you use the word patriarchal, what that means, but I
Mhm.
want you to kind of explain in your own words what you're saying when you talked about that the patriarchal way in which we have existed in school systems, et cetera, systems are set up and what
Yes,
that
right.
perpetuates.
That's a wonderful question. And I'm going to be really, I really fully believe in being transparent. And
Please,
I
thank
will
you.
be honest that I fell for this idea of the patriarchy and the traditional way of doing things. If you look at even our corporations and school systems, it's all hierarchical, right? And who's at the top? It's mainly white men. And I love that women are starting to inch up there a bit more, but there's still so much unevenness when it comes to men and women at the top, and certainly people of color making it to the top ranks in corporations, in industry in general. And so when I say that, the patriarchy, I didn't even recognize the devastation it was causing until I started to really look at the social science in my doctorate degree. And that was just 2 years ago. I
Mhm.
completely fell for it. I thought that's just how things were, that because that's how I grew up, is under the viewpoint of white men.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I took it for granted. I took it for granted that we've never had a woman president. I never questioned it. I mean, just think
Right.
about that. Never questioning that there's never a woman president, because that's just how things are. And
Mhm.
so I started to question these things. And here, I have to admit, I'm in my 50s now. And I grew up during the 60s and 70s where women's empowerment, I'm trying to think of Gloria Steinem, the
Mhm.
age of, I'm trying to think of that singer that was so pivotal. Oh gosh, Delta Dawn.
Linda
Oh,
Ron Linda Ronstadt?
no, I can't remember. Not Helen. Was it Helen Reddy? No. Oh goodness, I'm blanking. But I grew up on singing her songs of
Mhm.
empowerment
Mhm.
for women, and not, but it was never brought to my attention that this was within the overarching patriarchy.
Mhm.
And so I just got stuck in this bubble. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah. And
It
so recently it's like woke, you just
right.
wake up.
So, but the thing is, the word, okay, let's just break down the term woke. Okay, so it's woke. Okay, in essence, you don't know what you don't know
Right.
until you're aware. And I'm assuming that have you read the book White Fragility?
I have not. That is on my
Oh,
list though. Yeah.
I'm reading it right now, and I
Yeah.
sit there and I'm like this the whole
Mhm.
fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that we're going deep here. I
Well,
love this. This is
I
really
mean,
important stuff that we're talking about.
I beg for this. I beg for these types of conversations.
Mhm.
And there may be some listening or maybe not. I mean, people who listen to my conversations, I'm sure they seem to have more of a expansive open mindset, but it's like that we need to be having these conversations. We
Mhm.
need to be planting the seeds. We can't, we're always evolving. We're always the world, the people, the paradigm is always evolving and expanding, evolving and expanding, evolving. And, in our lifetime, we may not see some of these structures that need to be shifted,
Mhm.
but we're planting seeds now so that in 100 years, 200 years, 3,000 years, that what we're talking about today can be such a distant memory. It's like, like you got to tilt your head and squint, like, what? That, because we can tilt our head and squint at certain things, like, what? How could that have been a reality? And it takes, again, it takes mindset and awareness and a shift in the mass of mindsets to really create a massive change that is necessary.
Yes, and that it brings us back full circle, I think, to the importance of personal development, because if you can't
Hmm.
work on yourself and you can't create that mindfulness, that awareness, you will always be led by someone else.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then when you allow yourself to be led by others, then you always claim the victim, or you can, when
Mhm.
things aren't going your way, or when something happens and you're, oh, that happened to me instead of through me. And we all, I mean, we can all have, we all have and experience situations in which knock us on our ass, pull the rug out from under us. And it's like, okay, it's easy to blame and to point the finger, but you are a part of creating that, for whatever reason in your life, or I mean, if you see it in a much broader silver lining lesson blessing for me and through me and
Mhm.
for others. And we got some comments. I don't think you can see them. So Kim Bond, thank you for being on, girl. She says corporate capitalism is patriarchy. She says it will have its time and it will crumble. The time is coming to recognize this. I as well have been diving deep into social science. Love that. The
Mm.
world is seeing it. We are awakening. I'm going to read it. Yes, girl, it's a phenomenal freaking book. I just texted the title of it to Siobhan the other day. We need these conversations. Yes, it threatens the ones in power, though. Of course, again, because those that are in the power, those that are in control, again, their own lack of self-awareness. And you might think that somebody who's in control has, oh, they're powerful, the need to control everything outside of yourself comes from actually a lack of
Mm.
self-awareness, a lack of self-understanding, and that can lead to a lack, or that lack mentality, the trance of scarcity. Have you ever read the book, The Trance of Scarcity?
I have not read
Must,
that.
must, must.
Ah.
It is an outstanding book. Um, and it just talks about how we exist in this scarce lack mentality. And I was talking with somebody recently. It was just a gentleman on Facebook uh, who has a podcast, etc. And he was talking about like money and abundance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I brought up the fact that if you look at most advertisements, most TV commercials, or commercials in general, if they're not advertising a pharmaceutical drug with all these thousands of side effects, but hey, your arthritis will be better. But you might die. I'm being funny. A little bit, kind of a little bit, not really. But most commercials, most advertisements, however you want to say it, garage, is sold to us less expensive. It's on sale.
Mhm.
That something has to be discounted for us to afford. And what that does is that subconsciously ingrains this lack, this scarcity mindset,
Mm.
instead of thinking, in the box of abundance, or which abundance, like say, there isn't a box, abundance is.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. It's so true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And coming back to the idea of a job and,
Mhm.
that traditional career path, that's all about scarcity, right? Because there's only so many jobs, and you have to do your work, otherwise you might lose your job. And there's so much around that I think is focused on scarcity.
Mhm.
And I think, especially right now with the job market and those who have been laid off or are not
Mhm.
able to find work, that scarcity mentality, absolutely. And I don't mean that that's not real. I am
Right.
saying
It's
that
yeah.
it's very real, but it's hard to see the opportunity when we're focused on scarcity. And that's one thing I help my clients with is, okay, where's the opportunity in this?
Mhm. Yes. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about like some of the specific steps and programs, tools that you assist your clients.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So, what I really help my clients to do is to focus first off. This is just incredible that, and I'd love to hear in the chat too, if those who are watching, if you can put in the chat, how many of you know exactly what you want? If I were to ask you right now, and even put what you want in the chat, if you know it, put it in the chat because, and this may be unique audience that most of you may, if
Right.
you're just watching Tiffany, probably know what you want. But a majority of people, if you were just to walk down the street and ask people what they want, they'd go, well, that's a
Mhm.
good question. But if you ask them what they didn't want, they'd have a whole laundry list of things that they didn't want. So
Thank
that's
you.
what they're attracting into
Thank
our
you.
lives
Mhm.
is what we don't want because we don't know what we truly want. So I start
Mhm.
there. What is
Mhm.
it you really truly want? Not what someone else wants for you, but
Right.
what you want for yourself. And
Mhm.
once we get a hold of that, I mean, that just opens up so many doors. But then it's about looking at what are you passionate about? What are you good at? And
Right.
it's very important to know that you may be good at some things because you've been forced to
Right.
good at them
Mhm.
that take your energy, but then there are things that you're good at that come naturally, and we need to be able to decipher between those two, because do you want to continue to do things you're good at that you hate doing,
Right.
that
Right.
decreases your energy? Absolutely not. No, you want to be focusing on what you naturally do. And yes, there's going to be once in a while we'll have to do some things we don't like doing. That's life. But if we can focus
Yeah.
most of our energy and getting in that state of flow, that's what creates happiness and
Thank
abundance,
you. Thank you.
joy
Thank you.
in our lives, is that state of flow. And I'm not talking about woo woo stuff here, I'm
Right,
talking
girl.
about
Right.
science. Yeah, it's just science. Let's see if I Mc oh gosh, I can never pronounce his name. McChickney High? Chick set me high. I'm trying but he's written a book on flow, and he's a professor
Do
and
you know the
author
name of the
and
book?
scientist.
Can you
I
remember the
think
name?
I think if you just Chick set me high, I think it's just called Flow. He's written several books. Let me just look here. Flow, maybe Flow book.
Okay. Are you able to put that in the chat? Can you see the chat at all? Are you able to make a comment?
Let's see. See here if I could do that. It is
Let me
called
just tell
Flow.
you,
Okay.
you are speaking my doggone language. I have been doing this since 1996 when I bought the book, The Empowered Mind, that I still have, and I found the sheets of paper, copy paper, where, what are your strengths? What are your skills? What do you like doing? What do and it's like the earlier that you start asking and answering these questions, the more you can live. But it's never too late to start. Start now. I don't care if you're 100 or if you're 20. Start now, asking yourself the questions that she was just mentioning. What do you want? Because then when you like, what do you like, when you really think about it, you come to your why, and your why is deeply rooted in your soul. It's deeply rooted to who you are. And I've read, and this is a great saying, that what you loved doing as a child, what you enjoyed doing as a child, is part of your purpose as an adult. So
Absolutely.
start there. Like, what did you enjoy doing as a child? What would really lit you up and brought you joy and happiness as a kid?
Oh, definitely, because that it's such a young age that gets just trained out of us, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah,
Trained out of us to fit the patriarchy, to fit
yeah.
the status quo, to fit what is always been done. And yeah, it's trained out. So it's such an early age. I mean, even when, oh, just color within the lines, or use this color for the bear, and you can't, no, bears are not purple, all of those little
Right.
things that really reinforce the status quo that we're not aware of.
And it's crazy how many mixed messages we get. On one hand, we're getting the have an imagination, think, and be, creative. And then the very next message we're getting is no, fall in line, This is how this is the map. This is follow this roadmap, and this is, you know, graduate high school, go to college, get married, have kids, and retire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you can live your life and travel, whatever it is they perpetuate the mindset of. But it's like, it's that's not, but see, it's when that idea and that paradigm, I guess, was being formed, was when I guess the way in which people worked was in the factories, at the office jobs, and so it was necessary to keep people in line. And I've even read somewhere about like the way school classrooms are set up, with desks, sitting in a desk for, in a single file, everybody, just looking at the teacher, and have you, oh God, I can't, his name is, cannot remember, but he did this TED talk. And I think I ran across this TED talk 10, 11, maybe 12 years ago. He's British. And it was
Oh, I
the
can.
man. Yes.
Oh, I know who I have
Man.
his book. Oh, brilliant, brilliant, about creativity in schools.
Yes, thank you. Where he
Oh,
talks about the little girl who, back in like the 30s or 40s, her parents thought there was something wrong with her. They took her to the psychiatrist, and he asked the parents to come out, and he left the little girl. He said, "You just sit right here." They go out into the hallway. He shuts the door, and he said, "All right." And he just said, "I want you to look in that window right there. Look at your little girl." And she was up dancing or doing something. And
mm,
he said, "There's nothing wrong with your daughter. She's a dancer." And she wound up founding the School of Juilliard, the dance school of Juilliard. Had she been told, "No, you're not supposed to be creative. You're not supposed to have this imagination. You're not supposed to be dancing. You're supposed to sit and do your schoolwork," we might not have the Juilliard School of Dance.
yes, and
Ken,
that's
Ken, yes. Oh God, he's
Ken
phenomenal.
Robinson. Yeah, just
Yes.
schools kill creativity.
Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. It just really shifted my whole paradigm on schools, and it reinforced what I always like. You sometimes just have this felt sense first. You can't put your finger on it, but it starts with this felt sense, and then all of a sudden you find the research or someone speaking about it, and it's like, oh yes, that is it. Someone has been able to put words to what I cannot put words to, and
Right.
he did that
Right.
for me. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We have a few more comments. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. She says 60 to 70% of post-secondary attending is women. It's only a matter of time. She also says, "I found it super hard raising my son open-minded because I felt I lived in a mixed message world, and what I was doing was different than what I was saying." That's awesome that you realized that you were aware. And then she says Dylan was half homeschooled because of the nightmare, because I guess she's speaking of COVID, the pandemic. So
Oh, yeah.
this has been a phenomenal conversation. I really have enjoyed having you on here. I love getting deep.
I do too. I love these kind of
Yeah.
conversations. Yeah, just to really start to unpack things, and like you said earlier, these conversations are so important
Mhm.
because maybe someone's watching this, even just a segment of it, and all of a sudden it just shifts how they see things.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, yeah. Or it gives them the words to something that is just that felt sense, as I was speaking to earlier.
If you're just joining, because I see people popping on, you need to go back when we're finished and you need to watch from the beginning. This has been a very empowered conversation. So tell me about, like, I know you have an offer, you have something that you are wanting to promote to my audience so they can work with you.
Yes, if anyone is watching this and you're like, yep, I am in a corporate hell situation and I am tired of not feeling like I have a voice. I am tired of doing work that isn't fulfilling. I'm tired of being stuck in this job and can't seem to work my way up any longer. Just sick and tired of being in a job that suffocates you. If this is resonating with you and you are ready to really live your life fully, to do work that does light you up, to go out there and give the world what it needs right now, because I can tell you, every single one of you watching this, if you're not fully living your life and you're doing what you love to do, and you're not out there just living your life as if it has great meaning,
Mhm.
you're not doing what the world needs right now. And the world needs you. The world absolutely
Absolutely.
needs you. It needs you to be fully you. It needs you to be doing what you were born to do. It needs you to not be afraid
Mhm.
anymore. It needs you to be strong. It needs you to rise up.
Mhm.
And if, once again, if any of this is resonating with you, I do have a free 30 minutes, escapecorporatehell.com. That's where you can go to sign up for it. Escapecorporatehell.com session. It's valued at $147. I just have a few a week. So if this is resonating with you, I encourage you to just go right to escapecorporatehell.com. And let's do a career breakthrough session together to figure out what you want, what's getting in your way, and what are those initial next steps so you can go out there and do amazing work that's going to be fulfilling and meaningful and really make a difference.
Right. And just bring about more joy and happiness.
Mm.
Because if you're joyful and happy, the more people that are joyful and happy, the world does shift.
Oh,
So I
absolutely.
want you, okay, so send me over because I didn't have that link and I looked for the website that you just mentioned. So send that over. We're going to post that in the comments. Just wanted to say, Kim says that jeananion.org. I don't know what that is pertaining to. She goes, I'm hoping I can go off and do my life and love it. I'm working on it. Yes, you are, Kim. Kim created this, the Happy Heart community.
Oh, I love
Oh, it's a fabulous community. I know that she is doing, about to do some more challenges in there. I need to interview you too, Kim.
it.
Escape corporate hell. She loves it. And she says love. Um, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And I forgot to to thank everybody at the beginning for continuing to vote for me, to continuing to support me and my dream of being featured in Bon Appetit magazine and starting a food truck with the favorite chef contest. Continue to do that. I think yesterday, I don't know if we're still in 2-for-1 votes right now, but they do that. They were doing it every Wednesday, and then they were like doing it like the past 3 days. But anyway, guys, I'm so appreciative. You have no idea how much it squeezes my heart that people continue to support me. And really, yeah, I can feel the energy around me with just people really wanting this for me, and it just squeezes my heart. And I'm going to post the link here to get in touch with Amy and work with her to do more meaningful work and live your life on purpose.
I love it.
She says Amy will recognize Jean Anion, social engineering in school.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Kim. Love it.
All right. All right, guys. And I'm not even going to take you out, because usually I end whatever. But stay on. Don't, when I end the broadcast, just stay because I want to talk to you for a few more minutes.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Bye, guys. And make sure to tune in tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Food Therapy with me and Siobhan. We're going to be making a delicious beet goat cheese salad.
Mm, sounds
Bye, everybody. Yes. Thank you.